civilization states, Russia and China. So if there is an attack on Iran, and I'd like to see your geopolitical analysis, this will be an attack against three top BRICS at the same time. Not only Iran, but the strategic partnership linked Russia and China, which are helping Iran not only diplomatically, but with military hardware and software. A lot of stuff we already know. Radars, research, the Chinese satellite system Beidou, which is now interlinked, the Iranians are interlinked with Beidou, real-time information on the movement of the US Navy in the Arabian Sea, because the Americans are too cowardly to be in the Sea of Oman, because then they will be within range and in front of Chinese territory. They are, let's say, far away from Pakistani territory in the Arabian Sea. So, does Trump and especially the Trump 2.0 circle, do they have any idea that they will be fighting against three BRICS? And not only that, against the whole global South, because the whole global South supports Iran now because they know that this is another unprovoked war. Do people in D.C. have any idea what they're
Well, I think Vice President J.D. Vance definitely
apparently
does.
A little bit, nah?
Yeah.
Vance.
And DNI Tulsi Gabbard strongly does. In fact, she is the strongest opponent of an attack on Iran in all of America. And that's why she's not in the room. Imagine having a director of national intelligence, a person of Tulsi Gabbard's stature, who literally is not in the room. She's not invited to the meetings. But Vance can't be excluded, and he's against it too. But the others, perhaps not including all of the military top brass, are gung-ho for it. Marco Rubio in particular. He's another one who is in hock to the Israel lobby. So I think not enough of them understand the significance, the apple that they're about to bite into, where it might lead them, to perdition, perhaps, to the ending of Rubio or Vance's presidential ambitions. If the Democrats pick the right person, and going on their track record, they probably won't, but if they did pick the right person, I would have thought the Republicans will be out, having lost perhaps both houses this November. And with the congressional power reopening the Epstein files to isolate and destroy Trump and his faction. But going back to the Gulf, it seems to me, as George W. Bush might put it, they have misunderestimated Iran. They don't seem to realize that not everyone is going to capitulate. And not everyone has powerful friends like Iran does. As you say, we don't know the extent of Russian and Chinese cooperation, but we must imagine that it is substantial. We don't know what Russia and China will do if Iran is attacked, but it's likely that as pillars of the BRICS, they won't take it lying down. Now, of course, Russia has its hands full, and we'll come to it in a minute. The special military operation, Russia has its hands full. But maybe this will be the moment when China will walk onto the world stage and show us its stick. It habitually and culturally appropriately feigns inferiority. It walks and talks quietly on the world stage. But given China knows that it is the ultimate objective of American hegemonic power, well, they are going to have to step up sometime. And it might just be that Iran is. Look, the elephant in the room here, Pepe, is the implosion in Venezuela.
Yes.
Where many of these arguments also obtained, but where nothing happened except a disguised and quiet surrender to American power. Russia did nothing, China did nothing, the Venezuelan government did nothing, the president is in the penitentiary in New York,
Right.
and business as usual is being restored in Venezuela. Their problem in Iran is they don't have a compliant comprador in Iran that is capable of taking power. They have lesbians, feminists, LGBTQ plus liberals, and they're a substantial number.
Yes.
And God bless their cotton socks, but they're not genuine contenders for power in Iran.
No, they're not.
That you can build a counter-revolution around. Unlike Venezuela, the Iranians will fight. They have absolutely no alternative but to fight. From their point of view, if they're going down, it's a big if, but if they're going down, it will be with all guns blazing. And they have plenty of guns.
And they have plenty of guns, exactly. And with the mindset of Imam Ali and Imam Hussein, they are not afraid.
They're not afraid.
They will never be afraid.
No. It's a remarkable thing to meet people who are not afraid of death. I dare say the Americans have never met such a person before.
No.
Because
in fact, they did, the Vietnamese.
Yes.
And they never learned their Vietnamese
They
lessons.
never learned their, and of course Trump failed to show up in Vietnam with five deferments because of his bone spurs. He's had bad ankles, but he's been disco dancing and golfing ever since. Let's turn, Pepe, to the SMO.
Yes.
My question to kick this off to you would be, why is it taking so long?
This would be the question that I would pose. Okay, I also pose this question to you, and I would love to hear your analysis. It was supposed to last a few weeks. Then they had to reconstitute the whole operation, which we can say in retrospect was poorly planned. And their intelligence was not up to par. And their cells in Kiev, they didn't have the full information. So if we want to be very, very harsh, part of the blame lies at the SVR, Russian Foreign Intelligence. They didn't get all their facts right at the time. So they had to recondition the SMO. And now it is essentially a counter-terrorist operation because this system in Kiev is a criminal organization. And now we have proved by defectors, I interviewed one of them here last week, for instance, by people who know how the system works in Kiev. It's a criminal organization, and they need to perpetuate the war, because if the war ends, they end as an organization. And they could have a Hitler or Mussolini ending like Medvedev said 2 or 3 days ago. Well,
he's
you can always expect
he's always
something
colorful and candid.
He's always colorful, right? But why it took so long? Of course, don't forget, the Russians are fighting the whole of NATO, the whole collective West, by themselves. So that's quite something. And NATO has thrown everything and 10 million kitchen sinks against them, and nothing stuck. But now it's getting to, I would say, a much more worrying frame. The whole, what's happening in the battlefield and this kabuki of negotiations, which are de facto leading nowhere, because they are attacking vital installations inside the Russian Federation. Like the latest attack, this was probably the ultimate red line. They attack a vital node of producing Russian ballistic missiles. And with the British missile, essentially, the Flamingo. The Flamingo was invented or reconditioned based on Ukrainian designs by an Emirati British company. It's being manufactured in Denmark and then transferred to Ukraine. So this is a NATO operation. And let's say this is the ersatz Tomahawk or the Tomahawk substitute. We all remember during the Biden administration the Tomahawk controversy. So now they have a British-style Tomahawk in possession of the Ukrainians that they can launch against any strategic installation inside the Russian Federation. If this is not a red line, what is it? Okay, this happened only a few days ago. We don't know how the Russian administration is going to respond. But all red lines have been completely smashed. So what next? When will the Oreshniks distribute their business cards to the usual suspects, not only in Kiev, but in other parts of NATO? Would this be the start of an overall, a big war? Yes, it could be.
Well,
but
it
the
could
Russians
be,
are
yeah.
ready for it.
And of course, there are no strategic arms limitations
No, there's
nowadays.
no more. Exactly.
And no rules that are normal rules that are being obeyed. Well, that's of course a very plausible set of reasons why it's lasted for 4 years. I'll give you another one. You see, the Russians don't hate the Ukrainians at all.
They don't. They're cousins.
If they had wanted to, Kiev could have looked like Gaza within days. But they didn't want that. They want the opposite of that. They, if not the Ukrainians, although many Ukrainians, I think, in their hearts feel the same, they regard Ukraine as part of them and they as part of Ukraine. The Empress used to sit in Kiev. Exactly. Catherine the Great constructed Odessa.
Exactly.
The intermarriage, interrelationship, common language. Most Ukrainians speak Russian, of course. Even Zelensky made a living speaking.
His
singing,
Ukrainian is lousy compared to his Russian.
Exactly. So it's hard to wage a civil war when you don't hate your adversary, when you want to save as many and as much of your adversary as possible. It's very difficult to prosecute the war with the ruthlessness that would have been required to bring it to an end more quickly. But I suppose that's all spilt milk. When is it going to end, in your view?
Well, I remember when was Shoigu, when he was still at the Minister of Defense, he said would end in 2025. Now, it didn't. And now we're listening. If we're listening carefully to what Ryabkov and Lavrov are saying, they are not diplomatic anymore. They are both saying the war will be decided in the battlefield. This coming from the top diplomat on the planet, Sergei Lavrov, which until a year or so ago was very, okay, negotiations is possible, etc. Not anymore. Especially after these attacks inside the Russian Federation, including the 91 drone attack on part of the nuclear triad, including one of the residents of the president of Russia later last year, and now this attack against the production of ballistic missiles. This is beyond serious. This is beyond any red line that Putin himself established. So these past few days in Moscow, I heard dissenting voices. And this is an extremely touchy subject because issues of national security, military, they cannot be discussed openly in Russia. So this is a fact. It's not an accusation, it's a fact. But they should be discussed in the public arena because in Moscow and in St. Petersburg, there's a lot of dissatisfaction with the war. And it's the usual rationale. It's been taking too long. Why don't they go for the head of the snake? Will we have to wait for another 2 years? Are we really advancing as fast as we should in the battlefield? These questions are swirling around, and there are no easy answers. So from the point of view of a foreigner, you and me, something that strikes me is there is a lack of debate about the war in the public sphere in Russia. And I think this for Russia would be essential, especially now at this moment, after 4 years. This is a landmark. something needs to change fast, especially because it's quite clear that the United States will not abandon this proxy war against Russia.
That's the key point, I think. The blame for the war lasting this long is the United States. They started it, they funded it, fueled it, armed it, and shielded it, and they are refusing to walk away from it. For all that Trump apparently said in Anchorage in Alaska, and we weren't there and no one's really told us exactly what he said, but we can infer from the comments of the top diplomat in the world, Sergei Lavrov, that they found agreement, but that the Americans have not made that agreement happen.
No follow-up?
No. I mean, Zelensky isn't going to make it happen for the reasons you identified. The end of the war is the end of Zelensky. The end of the war is the end of his criminal network. The end of the war is the end of the grand larceny of billions of money from all over the world, and including the money that should have been going to help the Ukrainian people. So if Zelensky is left to decide, then the war will never end until he's completely militarily vanquished some years down the line, and many hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of more dead people. So really only Trump can end this war without having to fight it to the bitter end. Only Donald Trump can say to Zelensky, time's up. I warned you, you had no cards. Your time is up. Go. There's an airplane waiting for you to bring you to Miami. And if you don't get on it, well, pity help you. You'll end up like Mussolini in the public square. If he were to say that, Zelensky would be on the plane.
Absolutely, yes.
Because the Europeans can't save him with their comic opera armies, their Gilbert and Sullivan navies. They are they're all talk, all mouth and no trousers, as we say in England. So if Trump genuinely walked away, it would be the end. Why hasn't he?
My question, to wrap it up, why he cannot walk away, Trump?
I wish I knew the answer to that. I mean, again, is he double dealing? Am I being fooled by his apparent sincerity in wishing to end this war? Because I must tell you, I believed him. I mean, I didn't have a vote, of course, but I would have voted for him in the last presidential election only on the basis that he'd stop the war, because that's what he promised to do. But he hasn't. And it's not looking to me like he's going to. So I'm with Lavrov. It'll be decided on the battlefield. Last word to you?
No, last word to you.
Well, it has been...
It's George and Lavrov coinciding.
It's been the best discussion I've had in a long time.
Thank you so much, George, and thanks to our Russian viewers, international viewers, straight from Moscow at TASS with the invaluable George Galloway. See you next time. Thank you.